Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the PB Political Podcast. I'm Eshan Pokhrel.
And I'm Myles Gollop.
And today we're doing episode number 84, 16 away from the big 100. We should make the election episode 100. Anyways, episode 84, we're going to talk about some political news, then also some general world news, aka the Olympics. And we're going to just go ahead and get into it because I know we're both probably busy. So we're going to talk about Kamala Harris, who has, since our last episode, fully become the Democratic nominee for president. She took one day to secure all the delegates after Joe Biden dropped out of the race, and she has officially been nominated on the weird virtual ballot that they did, which kind of makes the whole DNC irrelevant because they just went ahead and nominated her online, which is pretty stupid. But Harris is now the nominee. So, Myles, initial thoughts to the whole saga, and now, yeah.
Well, I'm not a huge fan of the system. It seems a bit undemocratic to just put Kamala Harris up there at the top of the ticket. But to be fair, it did seem inevitable that she would win it, regardless of if she had challengers. That's kind of the position you assume. If you're vice president, if something were to happen to the president, or if you were to drop out of the race, you're the next person up, and that's exactly what Kamala Harris was. But again, I would have liked to see a more competitive primary, an open convention. That would have been spec. I'm sure you probably have similar thoughts, but that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah, I was really hoping for an open convention, mainly just because, like, historically, it'd be kind of cool. Also, I think I agree, the Democratic side of it, it's weird because you would think that, objectively, or not objectively, but, like, intrinsically, if you're the vice president, you would be inheriting the president's nomination, but that just feels kind of wrong because Kamala Harris isn't necessarily a popular vice president. In fact, the Democrats literally said they picked her because she was a black woman, which, you can say what you want, but, like, that seems like a kind of poor qualification basis to pick a vice president off, and I've said this in the past. Regardless, they've nominated her. I really wanted to see an open convention. It would have been cool to see the convention just be, just like a couple of days of speeches and maybe, like, a debate day. That'd be kind of cool, and then the delegates vote. But anyways, the Democratic machine has picked Kamala Harris, has not picked a vice president, which we'll get to in a little bit. But since Kamala Harris announced and has now clinched the nomination on July 21st, the campaign announced yesterday that they raised $310 million in the month of July. And
that's incredible.
It's insane. It's insane because not only do they only have 10 days, but also President Trump, they announced which is also a very high number, but $139 million in July. And he almost got killed in July. So it's absolutely crazy the amount of support, the enthusiasm, and maybe the relief from Democrats that Kamala Harris is the nominee now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I can't say I'm surprised that she out-fundraised Trump. Like you said, the assassination attempt, huge spike in donations, but there's just new energy in the Democratic Party right now. Like, the Biden hurdle, they didn't think they'd be able to overcome it. At the end of the day, that was up to Joe Biden to drop out of the race. And now that he's out of the way, a lot of the questions we had, like specifically Biden's age and his incompetence, is erased. It's almost like it's forgotten almost now at this point. And they have a new candidate, somebody that they can rally around, and they're excited. Again, it's the first month of her campaign, so I would expect her to make more money. Plus, historically, Democrats do out-fundraise Republicans, so I don't think it makes a huge impact on the race, but it's interesting nevertheless.
Yeah, one thing that is important to note, to be fair on Republicans, a lot of large ticket donors on the Democratic side, actually up to 25 to 50% of large scale donations were halted in the weeks after Biden's debate. So there was a large amount of large donors coming back to the Democratic Party. So I don't know if that made up the difference. I don't think that's the whole $70 million difference there, but it definitely is a part of that, which I think is important to note. But also, yeah, just a crazy, just $310 million in a month is absolutely insane. $310 million in really like 15 days is even crazier. So the Harris campaign's been in a good place. And cash on hand, since the Harris campaign inherited the Biden campaign's money, cash on hand, Kamala Harris, $377 million, Trump, $327 million. So pretty expensive race coming up. And yeah, so I guess like I have a little bit of questioning prepared just to like I guess keep things flowing. We'll get into the VPs after this, but how do you see the presidential election? Like, do you think the momentum has shifted towards Kamala Harris? And like,
Yeah,
yeah,
personally, I did expect this to happen. Historically, once again, um, these races can become tighter as we get closer to election day, especially as the summer comes to a close. That's to be expected. I do like obviously in the United States, you cannot gamble on presidential elections, but I do watch the odds just to see like what the experts are thinking about who's going to win. And a couple weeks ago, I think Harris was at like plus 425. I mean, if you bet $100, you walk away with a total of 525 if she wins. And to me, those were ridiculous odds. That just shows, though, how confident the betting markets were. And I think most of the American public was that Donald Trump, for sure, get a second term. But now it's tightened. It's tightened a lot. We've got potentially another debate or two, depending on if Harris and Trump can work out their differences. Anything could happen. Right? I still believe that Trump is the favorite, and my life on it, I would bet on Trump. However, Harris could win this race, and I think if she picks, which I'm sure we'll get to this soon, she picks Josh Shapiro. I think that's a huge edge to her in the state of Pennsylvania, which could be the biggest swing state. What about you? What are your thoughts?
yeah. So actually, it's kind of interesting because if you look at we actually have an article. I wrote an article that's coming about this later this week about the momentum shift in this election. You can see just like strictly like not the greatest indicator, but looking at the polling, like the five-way race polling, the snapshot of Biden versus Trump versus Kennedy, whatever, and then Harris versus Trump versus Kennedy, all of that, you can see like a 5-point swing in favor of Kamala Harris basically immediately. So like basically people saying that 5% of people that were like, oh, Biden's too old or whatever it was, coming back immediately to the Democratic Party, which I think is really fascinating because I don't really know it's kind of interesting because Kamala Harris has never really been. I know they're trying to attack her and portray her as like a pretty like progressive far left candidate, but she's never really been. She's been a pretty corporate senator. She was obviously a very controversial AG, especially in today's Democratic Party, talking about locking up people for marijuana offenses, possession even, bragging about that on the debate stage famously. That's stuff that really you would think wouldn't fly in the Democratic Party and also wouldn't be a becoming of a far left progressive candidate. Actually, yeah. So I think that she kind of like she has the aura, I guess, of a far left candidate without actually being a far left candidate, which is kind of strange. Or sorry, other way around. Yeah, she has the aura of being like a progressive candidate, like a for change, a young candidate, whatever, but really isn't that. So I think it's kind of interesting that the momentum she's gotten. She's so popular among Gen Z, like our generation really likes her. After like you can see Biden getting dragged down further and further. But you can see like that rebound happened pretty quickly with Kamala Harris. I think it's just because they're just relieved it's not Biden, honestly. I think there's a little bit more relatability to Harris in that she's alive, in that she's sure mixed, I guess you could say, but also like she's also just like able to speak. She's able to talk.
Yeah,
She
she's
seems progressive.
only at the young age of 60.
I think she's 60, yeah. So I mean like not
Yeah.
obviously super young, but still like in her like able
It's just
to
funny, like she's considered the youthful future of the Democratic Party, and she's 60 years old.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's fair. I think
She looks great for 60. She looks great.
yeah, it's a fair point. I mean,
She's in good health.
I mean, it's not necessarily a high upgrade age wise. It's still 20 years, but 20 years is a big difference. As we all know, Biden at 60 was much better than Biden today, obviously. So I think that's fair enough. But yeah, it's just kind of crazy how quickly this race has shifted. And yeah, like you were saying about the betting markets, I think everyone was, even like reports coming out of Washington, people I've spoken to in like Washington like circles, everyone was pretty much ready for a Trump campaign, like a Trump 2024 2028 presidency. Now it's a little like they were starting to get resigned to. They're like, okay, how can we spin this to our pocket? How can we work around this? Now it's just kind of like it's really up to anybody, right? It's become very open. I think that's something that Democrats got like a really random second life out of nowhere, which is kind of crazy to me. But yeah, let's move to the VP.
Yeah.
The fun part. So Kamala Harris has not picked a VP. She will pick a VP. I guess if you're listening to this Monday today, that's when this episode is dropping. She will have a VP picked today, so this might be moot. But this is fun to talk about, so we're gonna talk about it anyways. I'll run through the short list real quick, and then you can give your thoughts. So the short list that we've been like seeing everywhere has been Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota, Governor Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, Governor Andy Beshear of Kentucky, Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona, Secretary Pete Buttigieg, Transportation Secretary, and Secretary Gina Raimondo of Commerce. Governor Ray Cooper was there too, of North Carolina, but he dropped out supposedly. So those are the six candidates that have been floated the most. What do you think, Miles?
Well, I think in reality it's down to three. I think it's down to Governor Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, Mark Beshear of Kentucky, and then Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona. I think those are the only three to be named tomorrow. I'm sure the others probably had consideration, but based on what I'm seeing and what the odds are displaying, those are the three. The one I'm the most fond of is Mark Kelly. Now, I realize, I'm not the one choosing. I understand he may not bring the most to the ticket. But as a former astronaut whose wife was a congresswoman who got shot and nearly killed, he's got a tremendous backstory. And he's liberal, but moderate enough to balance the ticket. He's got a cool demeanor, and I think he looks like a presidential / vice presidential guy. However, I don't think he's going to get picked, although he was the early favorite. My pick for tomorrow, who I think Kamala Harris will choose, is the Pennsylvania Governor Shapiro. And the reason for that is Pennsylvania is a critical, and when I say critical, it could come down solely to Pennsylvania in this election. And he's a popular governor. And in a state that looked like it could go either way in the 2022 elections, he beat out Doug Mastriano. Is that how you say his last name?
Yeah, I think that's right.
By
a
a substantial margin. I think it was about 14 points. So you got to look at that. Plus, the Democratic Party has become very split on the Israel issue. Like even today, I'm at a conference right now in Washington, D.C. For the Israel on Campus Coalition. Along there, and one of the biggest talking points was, are you truly a progressive if you're pro-Israel? And I know that's raised some questions with some of the more liberal members of the party. Shapiro being Jewish, and it's sad I have to say that, but many are saying that's a bad thing politically. I don't think it will end up mattering, though. I do think Harris will choose Shapiro. I think he is a progressive, but he's got some old school liberal elements to him, and I think that will be the pick. I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, I've heard crazy stuff like people saying that Kamala Harris is anti-Semitic if she doesn't pick Josh Shapiro, which is complete BS because her husband is Jewish. So let's calm down,
Great point.
guys. That being said,
Yeah.
Shapiro won his race with Mastriano by about 15 points. He is very popular. Famously, I think the biggest thing he would be known for nationwide is really quickly rebuilding I-95 when a bridge collapsed or something in the state of Pennsylvania. He was on top of that and really went through it. Also, the other thing is he's also attorney general, a former attorney general. He's the attorney general of Pennsylvania. Kamala Harris has tried to position this race as a prosecutor versus felon race, which is actually kind of smart, I think. So that could also kind of play into that angle. But yeah, he probably is the most electorally beneficial candidate. And I'll get into who I think would be the best pick. I think from like a governing perspective, but also the other thing about Shapiro being Jewish, he's a very frequent critic of Netanyahu. Despite supporting Israel, whatever, he's a very critical voice against the current government of Israel, which is kind of interesting because, and I saw some progressive like journalists tweeting this out, which I think is kind of an interesting point. I think it was Ryan Grimm. He said that the smartest way, like Shapiro could really change the Democratic like party's view on Israel because he's kind of getting at it to like a point where he's not really criticizing the state of Israel, he's criticizing the government of Israel, which is clearly the right way to go about that, probably. Because, I mean, you can criticize the state of Israel like people criticize the state of the U.S., but it's really about the government, right? It's about who runs the government and whatever. So it's kind of an interesting point that I think he could bring a little bit of nuance to that discussion. Maybe not in, like, the political, like, campaign sphere, but, like, if they do win and he is to govern, I think that's something that could be interesting. I don't know if that makes any sense, but, yeah, do you have any thoughts
No,
on that?
yeah. Yeah, they're mutually exclusive. I think criticizing the Israeli government and criticizing Israel's war, like they're two different things.
Yeah.
Netanyahu. I am no expert in Israeli politics. I understand he was quite controversial before the war began, and people have kind of forgotten about the judicial reforms in Israel and the things that were happening before Hamas attacked. I don't see a problem with criticizing Netanyahu. I mean, Shapiro has ironclad support for Israel, and I think that resonates with a lot of Jewish liberals. And I don't think that will stop anybody from voting for Kamala Harris. I think at the end of the day, I don't see that impacting the race very much at all.
Yeah,
I think it would hurt Harris more to be anti-Israel than pro. I think she should probably tone down some of the attacks and criticisms. But anyways, don't mean to get off topic.
No, you're good.
Back to you.
Yeah, let me tell you, y'all, who I think would be the best vice president. If you're talking about governing, Tim Walz, Minnesota. I think this is the easy pick, in my opinion. I think Shapiro is good for Pennsylvania. I think Walz guarantees you the rest of the Rust Belt, at least, if not Pennsylvania, because. So, Tim Walz, if y'all don't know, he's the governor of Minnesota. He's very normal. Like, he's a normal person. He used to be a high school teacher. I think he was a football coach and when he was teaching high school. Military, I believe, as well. Oh, National Guard. Sorry, I'm reading from his Wikipedia now. I just found it. But National Guard, was in Congress for a couple years, and then he ran for governor in 2018, won, and then he was reelected in 2022. And the big thing in Minnesota, and I know you're from Minnesota, Myles, so I guess you have family in Minnesota, so you can speak to this a little bit.
Yeah.
So Walz has a one-seat majority in Minnesota. Minnesota's a little different than the rest of the U.S. because they have kind of like a coalition, like a party coalition thing. So they have the Democratic Farmer Labor Party. It's the DFL. So it's kind of like the Democratic Party, but they also have like subsections. It's like a whole thing. Anyways, they have a one-seat majority in Minnesota. And he was able to, just some of the things that I remember that he passed, he was able to legalize marijuana, a very popular position nationwide, free lunches or free meals overall for public schools. I know that he got, which is also very popular and also sort of probably the most common sense thing a government could do, honestly, if we're talking about government spending. He also passed free public education under a certain amount of like tuition. I can't remember the number. In Minnesota, he's also very pro-choice, obviously, typical Democratic stuff, and also very friendly to labor, which is also a big sticking point for Democrats in the current election. So he's probably the most progressive candidate on this list, but he's also the most like normal guy. Like he's just kind of like a dude. He'll regularly do press conferences like in the shirt and stuff, like just like not in the suit. He's kind of just a guy, right? I think that messaging and he's like an authentic dude. Like Bashir's close, but like Bashir's also like from like political royalty in Kentucky. Also, if you're electorally, Bashir doesn't really do anything because he's the governor of Kentucky, which is a federally very red state, even though he's a Democratic governor. So I think Walz would be the best pick. I think he could win you states like Wisconsin easily. I think Minnesota hasn't voted for Republicans Reagan, but it's kind of shaky right now. I think he easily holds Minnesota. Michigan could be back in play. Like I think these are all very attainable with Waltz, just because of how like personable he is. I don't know, those are my thoughts as an outsider, not really too ingrained in
No, I think
Minnesota.
that was a great analysis. I have heard his name more and more recently as a possible sleeper pick. He seems qualified, like you said. I mean, he has real world experience as well as pretty good political experience as well. So I got a question for you. How much do you think geography matters in picking a vice president nowadays? Do you think that's going to, impact how voters vote?
Yeah, so that's actually we should talk about that too because we're making a big deal of the vice president, but will it matter? It's the second part of that question. I think it makes sense. Like, like you would think inherently would matter, like having a balanced ticket. Like you can't have two people from like you can't have California and Kamala Harris and have like Patty Murray or something from like Washington. That doesn't work because like it does. I think it makes sense because like you're not gonna have similar experiences to everybody. I think having somebody like I think it makes sense to balance your ticket. I don't know if it matters electorally as much as it used to in the sense that like Kennedy picked Johnson because he could win Texas for him and he won Texas. That's the reason Kennedy won Texas in 1960 is because of Lyndon B.
And
Johnson.
yeah,
It's like that won't happen.
yeah.
That's like that would
I
be
won
like
the election picking Johnson. My opinion, I think that's what
absolutely
put him
yeah
over the
because
top.
United
Yeah.
united the Democrats exactly. So united the old Democratic Party, and he was able to win a state like Texas, which Kennedy, a progressive Democrat, would never have been able to do if he didn't pick Lyndon B. Johnson. So, anyways, I think I don't know how much it works electorally, but I think it makes sense. Like, cause like it's more about like if you have a VP that's able to campaign and is like actually not shooting himself in the foot and is able to talk to a different demographic of people, because Kamala Harris isn't going to resonate with Rust Belt white voters most likely.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense. I don't know if it'll work electorally. What I do know is I just read this. Tim Walz, not only was he a high school football coach, he actually coached. He won them their first state championship at Mankato West High School. So
Oh
that's a
wow,
man with
legendary
pedigree.
status.
That's a man with pedigree right there. Actually, like in all seriousness, it's a pretty big accomplishment. So yeah, I mean I don't know that would be my pick if I was a Democratic strategist. I'm not for many reasons, but I would pick Tim Walz if y'all are listening.
Yeah, I think with the vice presidential, I think overall it doesn't matter near as much as maybe it used to. People really, I should say, most people tend to only care about the top of the ticket. Many voters probably don't even know like who the VP nominees are, like until they're actually at the ballot box, or at least haven't heard, don't know much about them. I think it only really matters if it's like an extremist candidate, somebody that's like either really bad, potentially really good. Like, for example, me, I've made this very clear. I don't care if this hurts me later on if I'm running for office. I am not a supporter of Donald Trump. I'm a very, very hard conservative Republican. But I'm not voting.
JD Vance said this too. So.
It sounds like I'm it sounds like I'm changing the subject, but I'm not. I'm going to get back to what we're talking about. I'm not going to vote for him, even though I'm not voting for Harris. I'm not voting for Donald Trump because I'm in the state of Alabama. It's not a swing state, so I'm going to vote based off my conscience. But I will say, if Trump were to pick Nikki Haley, who I volunteered for over the primary season, vote for Donald Trump for that reason. I think that would be the perfect way to unify the party as one because he continues to just belittle anybody in the party that's not completely loyal to him, including the Nikki Haley sect of the party. And it's frustrating. He chooses J.D. Vance, which I guess since we're talking about VPs, I think that was just an atrocious choice of his. I heard he was influenced by his sons, Eric and Don Jr., to do that. And look, the problem with J.D. Vance, I don't mind the youth because, I'm young, and I think we need more young people in office. But he just doesn't have a lot of experience. He's an author who's been in the Senate for 2 years, and he's just a Trump loyalist. He's just like they have the exact same political philosophy. That's not what it's supposed to be. It's got to be well, like you said, unifying the ticket. So that I meant to mention that earlier. That is another reason why the race is getting so tight and why Harris started to lead in some polls. I think this terrible vice presidential pick, which Trump still may win. It may still end up being worth it for him, but that definitely changes things. Now Harris, as long as any of the guys that we named, that we brought up, will only help her. I think these are all good names. Like you said, I like the Patty Murray comparison. If she, well, I keep on. I was lost my train of thought there. But if she were to choose her, it wouldn't make any sense at all, and it would probably only hurt Harris. Or if she were to pick Gretchen Whitmer, another female, it doesn't add much. But the thing is, Harris actually listens to her advisors and what actually will help her electorally, and that's why that could decide the election. But typically, it would not. But yeah.
No, that's a good analysis. I mean, I think, hey, I will say J.D. Vance said the same thing you said, and now he's the vice presidential nominee under President Trump. So you never know. I don't think it'll matter that much in 15, 20 years, whatever. But maybe even 5 years, who knows. But, I think I don't think it'll matter electorally, but I just think Walz is a pick that everyone will like. Like, people will just like him because, I mean, he hits a lot of, like, if you drop Tim Walz in Alabama, where we're from in Alabama, and he starts talking about high school football, he's gonna have, like, people are gonna like him. Like, they're just gonna like the guy. And I think in that case, like, a vice president matters. I think the vice president might matter a little bit more this time, maybe, just because of how weird this election's been. Everybody knew Biden was too old. Everybody knows Trump is too old. Actually, a majority of Republicans are now saying, I saw this new poll, I can't remember where it's from, that they think that their candidate is too old. And now it's kind of reversed on Republicans because now Biden's out, so now you have the oldest candidate, right? I think in that case it matters. It may matter because people are paying attention a little bit more. Like, wait, we had an 80-year-old guy who shouldn't even be president right now, still serving as president, and he was running for re-election. Who's behind them to back them up? In that case, I think it might matter who your vice president is. That's why I think J.D. Vance is kind of a. I thought so. I've kind of looped around on J.D. Vance. I was like, okay, this is kind of a dumb pick at first. I thought about it more. I was like, oh, it might work. And then Biden dropped out. I was like, oh, this is bad, because now you're not looking at like a pretty easy quote unquote election. You're looking at a dogfight, and J.D. Vance is probably not who you want for all the reasons you stated, for like a lack of experience. And honestly, every governor and senator on this list could like kill him in a debate. I mean, I don't think it would come close. Like, I'm not.
I trust Vance in a debate, though. He's pretty well spoken.
But the thing is, so like Tim Walz is famous, I guess, now because he kind of came up with that whole. I don't know if you've seen this. The line from Democrats was kind of just like Trump and Vance are just weird. Like, Walz just came up with that on the press conference, like on the fly, and that got so much traction that even like the campaign's using it now, right? He's hitting things that just like resonate with people, and I don't know if that. I don't think that resonates with I don't think that matters to independent voters and like swing voters, because it's more about like pocketbook issues. But like things like that, like able to come up with something like that, like just pretty simple, but like I guess like that can catch on like that, I think is important. I think Walz would be a good pick. I think Walz would actually be the best pick, but knowing that Democrats aren't competent, they won't pick him. I think they will pick Shapiro, which I don't think is a bad pick. I think that Walz it's much more imaginative, though. I think you can do more with Tim Walz as your VP from I think it's like a more fun pick, I guess. You can expand your electoral map better than you can with Shapiro, I think.
So, Eshan, you have your laptop out, right?
Yeah.
Can you look up the current odds? So I'm curious to see like what the final odds are, because I remember I checked the other day, and I think Shapiro was like, I want to say like minus 700, basically meaning it's a guarantee he's going to be the pick. I don't know if that's shifted at all.
Oh, this is interesting.
Just curious.
I'm on. Hold on. Is there like a certain website I should use? I'm on oddschecker.com.
Odds Checkers, that's a good one.
All right, we're going to the VP nominating. Josh Shapiro, minus 188. Tim Walz, plus 1,000. Mark Kelly, plus 1,200. Andy Beshear, plus 1,600. And Pete Buttigieg, plus 2,900. It's really just the first four. So break that down for what does minus 188 mean? if no one knows.
Okay, so minus 188 means. Oh, well, I'm starting to kind of glitch a little bit, but that means you have to bet $188 to get $100 in profit. So if
Yeah.
you said I want to make $100 off this, you're gonna have to put down 188. That means that they're implying that he has well over a 50% chance of being the pick tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think some of that what's influencing this is that they're announcing it in Philadelphia, which actually I saw somebody go back on. I was on Twitter and I saw somebody go back and check when the other vice presidents were announced. Actually, I don't think any of them were announced in their home state, which is kind of interesting. So maybe they're just baiting. Maybe everybody just kind of like switching on that. So that might be something to watch out for. Maybe there won't be like it's in Philadelphia, so it's gonna be Josh Shapiro type thing.
I heard, I heard Shapiro canceled his events over the weekend too.
Oh, really?
His speaking engagements.
That'll be
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
So
We'll
all the
see.
signs are pointing towards him, but nobody because
Fascinating.
people thought that Doug Burgum was going to be Trump's pick up until it wasn't. So you never know.
Yeah, I will say all of the people that are trying like that could be vice president are really like playing into it on like Twitter and stuff. They're posting stuff that like every single one of them is posting like super like vague stuff that could be interpreted as them making the jump or whatever. Every single one's doing it. It's very funny. So props to them for keeping everybody entertained. I've seen like everyone's trending at like different times because they post stuff that people are like, oh, that means they're vice president, but it's like they do this every day, so it's always fun. Yeah, I mean, there's been just a lot. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. It's tomorrow. Maybe we'll do an episode tomorrow if we have time. But just to break it down, or whenever it comes. If it comes Tuesday, we'll do Tuesday. I don't know. But do you want to move on to the Olympics while we're here?
Yeah, that's a good way
All
to
right.
close things out.
Yeah, so we're gonna end up with the Olympics here because that is happening. We're on day 10, I think, today. Maybe today was the end of day 10. Today being Sunday. And after 10 days, we are finally leading the gold medal table. We have 71 medals, 19 of which are gold, we being the US, of course. China is tied with us on gold medals, but only has 45 medals because they're inferior. But yeah, overall, what do you think about our Olympics so far?
Well, I got the Olympic reruns on right now. I haven't been able to watch as much as I want to, but specifically, I've been following team sports and then tennis. So today, we had an all-time great match between Alcaraz and Djokovic. So Djokovic is, without a doubt, now it's debatable, but to me, he is the GOAT of tennis.
I think it's fair. I
Like
agree.
men and women, like he is the best. I don't care. He's just look at the numbers. But he's never won the Olympics. He's in 2008 he got bronze. 2012, I believe he got knocked out in the semis,
And
and then he also failed to win in 2016 and 2020.
I watch a little bit
Yeah,
of
what were you gonna
tennis,
say?
but I don't know for sure. Like, so the Olympics they're not technically part of like the grant, like the whole thing. It's kind of like an extra add-on, right? Like you complete tennis like that, but it's not like an
Yeah,
extra.
they're not.
Yeah.
They're not a part of the ATP, as far as I know. Again, I don't know. I don't really follow that, but I mean, it's a serious event. Like players, they treat it like a major.
Yeah.
Even though it's not technically a major, it is
Yeah,
definitely.
it's like an honorary major. That's
seen
right.
as
Yeah,
one.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's only every 4 years, and like you want to win a gold medal. Now, if it was a team sport, maybe it'd have less meaning, but like this is real. And Djokovic got smoked by Alcaraz in the Wimbledon, and that's
I watched that.
Djokovic's best surface.
That was
is
very
grass.
That was very sad.
And he just got beat down, and it looked. I was kind of sad. I thought, okay, this is.
I thought
we're
he was
seeing
washed.
the end
I
of
thought he was
Djokovic's
washed.
reign.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, oh, he's washed. It was
Yeah.
straight sets. I was like, oh no. Alcaraz is really good. Just to be fair,
He is.
but yeah.
He's got time on his side because he's our age.
He's
You know,
20.
he's
He's
what,
24.
21?
Maybe is he 21? I thought he was like 24.
He's 21. Yeah,
Oh, he's 21,
I
yeah.
remember seeing he was just barely older than me.
Yeah. So
Just barely.
shout out to Carlos Alcaraz. He's really good. But yeah, Djokovic beat him today. I didn't watch the match. It was too early. I didn't wake up.
Yeah, 7-6, 7-6, a thriller. The first set, I think, was an hour and a half.
Oof.
And, Djokovic, this is – I don't know if you can get a sweeter feeling than this. Because he's won all the majors many times. But Alcaraz has had his number the last two Wimbledons, and it looked like we have a new best player in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And Djokovic, not only did he redeem himself by beating a guy that has dominated him recently, but he also won his first ever gold medal.
Yeah,
And that just kind of completes the storybook career of Djokovic. I hope to see him maybe win a couple more majors, and I do think he's past his prime now, and that doesn't mean that he's better than Alcaraz. Like Alcaraz may still have overall overtaken Djokovic, but Djokovic isn't going down anytime soon. He's not washed. He proved that today, and I'm looking forward to watching the rest. But that's it for tennis. Eshan, have you been watching the men's basketball team? That's the sport I've probably been following the most.
I think everyone's been watching basketball. We did our thing in the group stage. I will say Serbia kind of let me down in that first game we played. I thought Serbia was going to have they are a very good team. I think Serbia is actually the third best team in the Olympics. Outside of Jokic, they also have Bogdanovic, who put up 30, I think, in their last game, which is kind of crazy. Best shooter in the league, Hawks legend, my guy Bogdanovic. But yeah, I've been watching the U.S. It's been kind of strange to watch like the rotation we've been playing out. Hopefully, we figure out our lineup going forward. The weird starting lineup rotations have been kind of odd. But LeBron, 40 years old, still our best player. It's kind of crazy. KD off the bench, man. It's been crazy.
Yeah, LeBron is 39 years old. And, whenever I see top players in the league list, he's always like, in my opinion, too low. It's like 8 or 9 usually. But the thing is, he really hasn't regressed that much over the past few years.
Yeah, not really.
It's almost like people like in their heads like, wait, he's 39 now. There's no way he's as good as he used to be. And they're saying that without actually watching him play. But if you actually watch LeBron play, other than maybe a little bit less athleticism, this is a hot take, better offensively. He's still just as clutch.
He's a little slower maybe, but he's made it up, and like his passing's gotten better. He's the best passer maybe ever. His passing's gotten better.
Too. His shooting's gotten really
better.
Good.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I have they released the
he's updated his game.
Yeah, have they released the playoff brackets yet? I haven't checked.
They did. They did it today. Yeah, we got Brazil, and we got the easy half of the bracket. We got Brazil, and then the winner
we are the number one
Australia and Serbia.
Okay, yeah. So Serbia's not a bad team.
Yeah.
Australia's not bad either, but I don't anticipate us having too much trouble with either of them.
Yeah. The other half of the bracket has Spain, Germany, France.
No Spain. Spain didn't make it. So it's Germany versus Greece.
I meant somebody else.
Germany and Greece.
Yeah, but the U.S. essentially have a bye to the gold medal.
Hopefully.
And that's going to be a great match, the gold medal. But USA, LeBron's the best player. It's fun to watch. Also, whenever I've been out of state a lot recently, I don't mean to bring it back to gambling. I know I already talked about that enough during political discussion. Always bet on the USA not to cover because they just cannot cover. They'll be favored by they're favored to win by 34 against Puerto Rico, 28.5 against South Sudan, and they did not cover either game, and it wasn't even close. And I've made a good bit of money off Team USA. It might seem unpatriotic, but I knew they weren't about to beat South Sudan by 28 after only beating them by 1 after a 16-point comeback or whatever it was. So, I don't know, just a little tip if anybody dabbles in that kind of stuff. As far as the Brazil game, though, the USA might cover because Brazil looks really bad. I mean, they look good, but they don't have any talent like the U.S. has.
Yeah, I think Germany's the best team standing in the way of the gold medal. I think we'll play them in the final. So hopefully,
absolutely, the defending world champions.
That'll be a good game.
With the Wagner. Wagner's playing out of his mind.
Schroeder's been good.
And so is Dennis Schroeder too.
Yeah. It's a good team. So hopefully that's fun. I just want a fun, and hopefully it's not too much fun and we win. Let's talk about swimming because we are not. So the U.S. has been kind of now that track has come in. So the track and field events started really a couple days ago. Since then, we've kind of turned it around on everybody on the gold medal count. Obviously, my guy Noah Lyles won the gold today in the 100 meter. He still has two more coming to him in the 200 and the relay, the 4x400. But swimming, we have not really been tearing it up in swimming. We have 13 silver medals, especially some surprising ones too. The men's today, the men's medley, the 4x400 or 4x100, I guess. We got silver, first time ever that we haven't won the gold in that discipline. But outside of that, Katie,
Ever?
yeah,
Olympic history?
ever, yeah, Olympic history. We've won gold every time. China beat us, unfortunately, today. But we have 8 gold medals in swimming, 13 silvers, and 7 bronzes. It's kind of interesting. But again, hey, like I said, tracks in now. Ryan Krauser got his gold in shot put. Noah Lyles has his gold in the 100 meter. So we probably have a couple more golds, hopefully coming. Gymnastics, Simone Biles is the GOAT, probably. I think we all agree with that, maybe. I don't know. Do you agree
Not
with that?
probably. It's undisputed.
Absolutely. There we go. Absolutely the GOAT.
Yes.
We had some really pretty crazy ones. Rugby sevens, the women's rugby team got a bronze, first time ever. That was crazy. The rugby was pretty entertaining, I will say. It was all earlier in the Olympics, but it was pretty fun to watch. We got silver in doubles, men's doubles. Rajiv Ram and Krajicek. Krajicek, I don't know.
They took out Nadal and Alcaraz.
They did take, yeah, that's right. Rajiv Ram and Krajicek are very, very prolific doubles players. 6-time Grand Slam champion. Apparently, I didn't know that. He's 40, so he's actually it's kind of interesting that they're a little older in doubles. They're more experienced playing together, I guess. Austin, yeah. So very good stuff from them. But yeah, that's the Olympics so far. What are you looking forward to moving forward outside of basketball? What are you looking forward to?
That's a good question. I don't know. I just want to watch more in general. I guess table tennis is over with, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to watch the track events. I'm going to watch whatever's left in swimming. Women's 3v3 basketball has been entertaining. I know. Oh, also soccer. So soccer, I know none of the best players in the world are playing outside of maybe Hakimi, but I do want to see who takes that. That's about it. Nothing specifically though.
Yeah, there isn't much.
You?
Yeah, I think the track stuff. I'm excited to see all these sprinters and stuff go at it. I know we're about to. It's over the next it's really to the end of the Olympics now. It's basically all outdoor track and stuff. Soccer, yeah. There's 2 African teams in the semifinals, Egypt and Morocco. Morocco's gotten in the finals or the semifinals of the World Cup and the semifinals of the Olympics back to back, which is pretty impressive. Only France is the only other team done that in this Olympics at least. So congrats to them. I'm sure other teams have done it. France and Egypt play, Morocco and Spain. That'll be fun. Hopefully we get an all-Africa final. That should be kind of cool to see. Yeah, like you said, Achraf Hakimi's playing for Morocco. El Neni's playing for Egypt. There's some players dotted in there, but yeah, no Mohamed Salah or anything like that. Yeah, I don't know. It should be fun. I feel like people have gotten more excited about the Olympics this time around, which is good because they're always a lot of fun. I think it's really cool to see. You just look down the medal table. It's kind of sick to see Uganda have a gold medal. St. Lucia got a gold medal. Dominica, these small Caribbean countries, Uzbekistan is tearing up judo for some reason. They always do. Actually, they're pretty good at that. Kazakhstan has a gold in judo. Why not? Georgia, these Central Asian European countries just kind of come out of nowhere and just put it on. So good for them. Azerbaijan has 2 golds in judo. How many judo disciplines are there? I don't know. But so good for them. I don't know. Hong Kong has a couple.
And I saw St. Lucia won a gold
St.
in
Lucia
track too.
Yeah, it was the women's 100 meter.
Yeah.
Yeah, Julian Alfred. It was a good race. I saw that. Sha'Carri Richardson got second to her, actually, from the U.S. So, North Korea has 3 medals.
She disappointed.
Yeah, I was actually I'm surprised because she won apparently she won the World Championships or whatever. I don't know. We're only experts on track when it comes to, everybody. When it's Olympics time, everybody knows what's up. The amount of research we do during the Olympics is always fun. But yeah.
I'm watching the Lyles rerun right now as we finish this conversation.
Yeah, most exciting 9 seconds in sports, the men's 100 meter. That one was crazy. Photo finish. But yeah. Yeah, now we're just talking about sports.
Yeah,
That's fun.
but hey, it's been a good convo, combining the two
Absolutely.
best things in the world, sports and
Yes.
politics.
That's a
It's been a
take.
great episode.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, thank y'all for listening. Sorry for dragging on, but hopefully y'all found this entertaining. This is what we actually talk like. This is what we actually talk about in our real lives every day. So thank y'all for listening. Y'all know where to find us. pppolitical.com. We got new articles coming. pppolitical AL. We got Myles on the TikTok at pppolitical. Everything, everywhere, all at once. So thank y'all for listening. I'm Eshan Pokhrel,
Yes, sir. I'm Myles Gollop.
and goodbye.